This is Propulsion, the podcast where we dive deep into the nitty-gritty of taking your business and your practice to the next level. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a franchisee, or a financial planning pro, you are in the right place. We're talking the latest tech, best practices, and expert insights, all while keeping it real and entertaining. So grab a coffee, sit back, and let's get ready to blast off. I'm your host, Francois du Toit. There we go, the tech people in the house. Good morning.
Morning, Francois. How's it?
Lekker, and you, Mickey?
Lekker, man. Lekker.
Awesome, and welcome back to the show. Really excited. Totally different kind of conversation today. When we decided on this topic, I went like, this is going to be interesting because one, we've never done this on the show, so we've never remotely spoken about something like this on the show. And secondly, you're an investment guy. So just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I never thought I'd find myself talking about a risk and the benefits of risk and life cover and critical illness cover and, death benefits, etc. But being involved in distribution over the last couple of years, I've really seen the power of what it does for families, for individuals, and what a no-brainer it actually is. We focus a lot in financial planning on the investment side of things, and we sort of underestimate, I think, the power of insurance. The power I mentioned earlier, the power of one can never be as strong as the power of many, and that's what insurance is. It's the power of many that you use to your advantage.
Yeah, it's brilliant, eh? And it is about, then you go when you do your studies and things, then obviously you learn about holistic financial planning, and everybody's got a different sort of view around that. I, for myself, thought that I have to do every single thing and every single interaction with every single client, which it turns out that was not the case. It was actually a journey with a client over time. But there is this thing where most advisors and planners over time fall in love with one or the other. It's rare that you get somebody that really loves both, right? So it does happen, but I think it's you over time you tend to gravitate towards one of those two areas more. So that's going to be an interesting one that I also want to get into a little bit later. But I mean, you've said to me that you see life insurance as the foundation of a comprehensive financial plan, which is quite interesting, comprehensive one. Especially, as you said, in today's investment-focused environment. So, I mean, why are you saying that, and what makes you say that?
Francois, it became very clear to me that life insurance can really provide, I think, the bedrock of a strong financial plan by protecting what clients work so hard to build. We know that investments generate wealth, but we know that life insurance protects it. And in today's environment, heavily focused on investments, it's important for advisors to balance wealth creation with security. We must never forget about balancing that wealth creation with security. Life insurance ensures that unforeseen events, whether it's something like a death, whether it's disability, whether it's an illness or critical illness, that these things don't derail your financial goals. As individuals, we are the generators of our wealth that we then put into the plan to manage. If something happens to us, how does our plan continue to work? And so I really see the power of insurance allowing clients to protect their assets while continuing to grow the wealth that they have created so far, and making sure that you use that as a bedrock of a comprehensive financial plan. That's very important.
Like many things, Mickey, in this amazing profession, is that everybody's got their own definition of things. So that's just us, that's professionals that are working in the profession. So we have our own definition. So we can say one word, and then we all have we all think we know exactly what that is. And it turns out we all have a different idea. But even more so with clients, right? So, I mean, clients would hear the word life insurance, and then they typically would think, it's just got to do with when I die. What's the use? Because I'm not here to enjoy it. It's not for my benefit. And it's funny because that should probably be the thing that makes them think, but this is for my dependents, my loved ones, the people that I actually work so hard to look after. But from that point of view, how do you think advisors can shift that perception for clients, so that they understand that this is more about living benefits. It's not only about death benefits.
Absolutely, Francois. Advisors for themselves and for clients, and even something I went through, I began to reframe life insurance as a living benefit, not just something that happens, post a death. If I think about things like critical illness and disability cover that can protect us, during our lifetime while we're alive, it gives us security, our clients security when we need it most. If you change this mindset and you don't think of life insurance as something that happens at death, but if you think about it as that living benefit, this starts to shift the focus. And we're seeing life insurance more and more as a way to protect us and to protect our loved ones while we're alive. It makes it more relevant. It makes it more relevant for today. It makes it more relevant for today's concerns. And as advisors, we can help explain these benefits. We can help show how life insurance products can support us now during our lives while we're alive today, how it covers us in those unpredictable moments, and how it adds value beyond the traditional view of here's a payout that happens when I pass away. It's very, very important. I'd say that's probably the most important thing. Something happens to us now, like I said just now. How do we continue to grow our wealth? How do we continue to earn that money to build those investments?
Yeah. One of the challenges, so let me also throw like a stone in the works here, right? Because one of the things with life insurance, yes, and I can't tell you how many of these conversations I've had in the last, I think since COVID probably, but it's been really, I don't know if prolific is the right word, but it's really been prominent in many conversations that I've had with advisors, and this probably, I mean, this was it's a stone in the bush, Mickey, because we're talking about the power of this, but there's also a challenge from a financial advisor point of view, because you spend a lot of time on this, right? There's a lot that goes into the planning. There's a lot that goes into everything around that, and then it gets to underwriting, and it seems like we have no more healthy people left in South Africa, because like the underwriters are ruthless at the moment. Like, and it's not just particular companies; it's all over, it seems. So how does that also play into this? What are some of the things do you think maybe that advisors should keep in mind, when doing risk benefits? Because as I said, there's a lot of time that goes into it. And is that one of the reasons why you think people prefer to focus on retirement planning and investment planning rather than this at the moment?
Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, underwriting has become ruthless. In a sense, I suppose what we've really seen, happen from an industry perspective is how underwriting has started to underwrite more to the person that they're underwriting, and so they're scrutinizing a lot more. They're a lot stricter. It's quite strange, when you do a bit of underwriting, people say, "Yeah, but I'm not like that person, so treat me different." And then when insurers do start to underwrite you for you sort of say, "Well, they're too strict." One of the things that I realized early on, and it was actually by chance, I started many years ago in this industry, and I needed to get some life cover. And one of the actuaries on the life cover side of the business said to me, "Mickey, start young." And so securing life cover early is essential, because when you're younger, you're generally healthier. And we know that as you get older, health plays a critical role in terms of the cost of life cover. Now, from my perspective, if I think about it, advisors should be focusing on educating clients on the really long-term benefits of starting early with cover, particularly how this now starts to protect you against future health challenges, because you've bought the life cover. If you get sick, if there's something that happens, well, you've bought it. You're paying that premium, from when you were young. One of the other things which stuck out to me was try by level paying premiums if you can. What are level paying premiums? You pay a level amount. So you can either, the actuaries will calculate it on an escalating amount. So you pay cheaper now, pay more later, or pay more upfront and pay less later. And that makes a big difference as you get older, by paying that level paying premium. And so I'd say to advisors, promote early coverage. Get that peace of mind in your clients, demonstrate a proactive approach to financial planning, and get in there early. That's going to take this conversation off the table about strict underwriting. It's going to take this conversation off the table about you're no longer healthy, your cholesterol's too high, your blood pressure's too high. You don't have those things when you're young. Get in young. And then, there's things like Future Protector. We offer something like Future Protector at Liberty, where we don't re-underwrite you from scratch if you want to buy insurance and you have bought insurance from us earlier on. So look for those nuances, those benefits that you can get out of life cover. And please, guys, start your clients early. Promise you they're gonna reap the rewards from it.
Yeah. So I wanna take you back. Like we were talking about, like I think you said you got your first computer at 7. I was in standard 2, so I don't know how old I was. I was probably 10 or something when I had a ZX Spectrum, by the way. So just so you know, it
I
wasn't
remember
even
those
classified as a
buttons,
computer.
keyboards.
Yeah, it wasn't classified as such. But so when I just started working, I had this friend slash advisor at the time that came to see me. So he started with Southern Life, and he came to see me, and he had all these little cards and things, and I think he was doing his utmost best to explain to me, all these different things around Discover and why I should have it and what it is. And the only reason I said yes is because I couldn't say no, but I had no understanding and no clue of why like I don't see why I need this. And one of the questions that now popped in mind as you were speaking is that we need to start with our clients as soon as possible and with them when they're still young. But how do you break through that notion of like, but why do I need this? Because the generations today have got a very different view on what's important to them. Very different view on wealth creation and those kinds of things. How do we break through that, Mickey, that they actually get why they need this? Because we can take it to them, but if they don't see why they need this, or they feel like it's not on their list of importance, or it's not on that bucket list, then any ideas how we can maybe break through? And sorry, now I'm coming from the left side here, which is
Look,
not on the list, but I'm just wondering as we're speaking.
I think, for me, Francois, it's all about making it real. That's how I sort of got this aha moment about the power of risk cover. It was making it real. Sitting with younger clients, we all got parents. We didn't just magically appear. All our parents, if we're getting older, they're getting older, if they're still alive. And so I think it's about making it real and showing people in reality what happens. We know that we're living longer. We know that as we live longer, medical enhancements are improving, but we could be sick and live with a critical illness for longer too. So it's about going to those younger clients and making it real, saying, you're young and you're healthy now. How are your parents? Are they still fit and healthy? How are your grandparents? Are they walking around with walkers? Are they bent over? Are they healthy? Are they still alive? Aren't they alive? And really just, I think, simplistically making it real, showing people that this is the journey that happens through life, that you start off young, you're strong, you're healthy, and as time goes by, you do deteriorate. They say there's two things that are certain in life: death and taxes. Well, it's death, taxes, and we're going to be ill somewhere along our lives. We know that's going to happen. And so I think just make it real for clients. Just talk to people about the things that they would see in their everyday lives around them and bring it home for them. Make the connections, join the dots. That's what I would do. When you do that, then that aha moment really, that light bulb goes on in their minds.
Yeah, I love that because that's storytelling basically, but it's very real to them. I just heard a story in the week. I was at a meeting and somebody was talking about a young broker consultant who's 22 at the time and how passionate he is and everything that he wants to do, etc., because of an experience that he had where his dad, I think, passed away when he was younger and still at school.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the life insurance cover, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did to go and do. So there's these real stories, and I think the more we can have stories that they can relate to,
Correct.
I mean, that is the only way, right? Because to tell them about death benefits and critical illness and disability, and maybe you can't work, and your income is your biggest asset, and blah blah blah, all that stuff is true, but they don't connect with that. They will connect with the stories probably. So I love that. So thanks for sharing that. Also, on the other hand, so we're talking about young clients, right? But you just mentioned that we are living longer. However, we are living longer sickly in most cases. So it's just that the medicine is keeping us alive for longer, I guess. So how do we then, also look at that? If you think like, we're 49, 50, around about there. How do we now, for clients like us, basically, or even older, how do we adjust, or is this something you should also plan for earlier, so that life insurance almost, and the living benefits, all the things that we spoke about, takes all of these things into account, that we will need the cover for longer than what we did previously, probably?
Francois, this is where insurers have really started to innovate, and where we've really innovated again as a company, as Liberty. We've brought things like cancer claim boosters or critical illness boosters to market. So things that you can add on top of what you've already bought. Now, obviously, the ideal is to plan upfront and get as much as you can upfront, but sometimes you just don't know, or you just don't think about it, or it's just not part of the plan. And so having access to, these boosters that you can put on top of your cover really helps you build these additional options into your life insurance policy. If advisors see the gap, advisors talk to your clients about these things, help them create that safety net, help to support them. We are living longer, but we are living longer in a more sickly state, if I can say that. Medicines do keep us alive. Often, something which had very short mortality to it. You would pass away quite soon, say a touch wood from a cancer or something like that. You can now live for 10 or 15 years longer, but you have medical bills along the way. And we know often what medical aids are like. They pay, but eventually they also don't pay, or they don't pay for new types of medicines and that. And so you need to dig into savings pots if you don't have this type of cover. And if you dig into your savings pots, if you don't have these sorts of booster covers, well, then you're not going to leave that wealth legacy behind that you wanted to create. And so think about that. The insurers have really gotten innovative. We've gotten a lot more innovative. We've taken that traditional state product and really thought about how we can enhance it and bring better client outcomes on insurance. That's what we're looking to do.
One of the big lessons I learned many years ago when I was in practice is that, again, we learn these things when we do our NCAF 6 and our post-grad, diploma in financial planning, all these things that we typically try and plan for somebody's entire life, right? But I quickly learned that clients actually dictate how long they want to plan for. On the one hand, but that's the one part of it. So there's something that we know is right, like that you should be doing this. That's the advice. But then clients said, but I just want to do it for 5 years because my wife is still young. She can get remarried, blah, blah, blah. I'll give her 5 years to get over me and then she must move on. Those are things like, well, but that's not what I would do with my spouse, for example. But you quickly learn that's real planning. Like if you really want to listen to them from that perspective. But that thing also, that particular experience that I had, it was one particular experience that taught me that lesson. And one of the things that I learned, Mickey, was that you've got to, I think when it comes to risk cover, and this is where the financial planner or advisor is really, really critical. And the planning process that you go through is so critical, because you have to make sure that you have just enough, not too much, not too little, just enough, so that you've got more money available, or the maximum amount of money available that should go to if something does not happen to you. So it's not a case of like, let's put the biggest risk policy in place and then you don't have money to provide for your retirement, because chances are realistically that nothing's going to happen to you. Like the majority, the chances are in favor of you'll be okay, right? It's when you're not okay that is devastating. But how do we balance this, right? So if you think about this focus on investments on the one hand versus the adequate risk cover, any tips on how we can get that balance right?
Yeah, Francois, that's so important. Balancing investments and risk cover is absolutely essential to a robust financial plan. We've said up front, life insurance protects wealth, that investments grow. Offering clients peace of mind is very, very important. Advisors should position life insurance as complementary to investment strategies. For example, life cover with benefits like immediate expense benefits. This can help clients have funds readily available. If there's an unforeseen event or unforeseen costs, it can stop them from liquidating investments prematurely. Maybe markets have moved, they're volatile. Maybe there's a blip in the markets. You don't want to cash out on those losses. You can rather use insurance to cover you. And if you do this, you really create an holistic approach to a client's comprehensive protection. And you can meet their growth and security needs. And now, you made a very important point about paying, not too much, not too little, just sort of enough, sort of the Goldilocks, and the porridge, it's just right kind of thing. But that's very, very important. Personally, things that I've seen in the industry dealing with clients buying life cover, building portfolios, clients that are entrepreneurs becoming extremely successful and creating massive tax burdens for themselves in their estates. Now, do you want to give all that wealth away to tax? Do you want to pay 20 or 25% if you're fortunate enough to have accumulated a lot of money away to SARS? We must do that as the laws. That's how it works. But we can buy life cover to cover for that, and make sure that the hard-earned money we've worked for stays behind. And so you've got to balance it, but you've got to have a comprehensive plan. You can't just sit on one side of each of the spectrums. You will fall short later on in life.
Yeah. Then one other thing I think which is important to talk about, Mickey, is that, and this has been like, I've been to so many conferences where this specific topic was discussed, and it's not succession planning. So relax, it's not succession planning, because that's the other thing that's, apart from AI, is probably the thing that's being spoken about the most, and nobody's doing anything about it. But it's this whole thing around generational wealth, the biggest wealth transfer that's about to happen, etc. But it's more than that as well. How does life insurance, I guess, play into this, and can we use it as a tool for creating and freaking sustaining, generational wealth? Because often they say it's not, transferring the money is the easy part. It's the habits and the know-how and all the other skills that you need to really sustain and grow that wealth. That's the hard thing to transfer. But I don't know, does life insurance play a role? Can it play a role? And how do we position it with clients?
Look, absolutely, life insurance plays a role. It can be a very powerful tool for building generational wealth. If you think about it, it can elevate families into a much higher income bracket by providing significant tax-free payouts, and really significant tax-free payouts. Now, this, I believe, resonates with all clients. We all want to leave a lasting legacy, whether it's for our children, whether it's for our grandchildren. So features like a terminal illness benefit, this can allow you to access your life cover payout before your death, which can be used to secure financial family affairs. We need to highlight these sort of potential things to clients. And advisors need to engage with clients emotionally. Engage with them emotionally. Remember, we're emotional beings. We think emotionally. Anyone who says, I'm unemotional, I'm completely rational, well, then you probably are AI and you that computer on the table and you have no feeling. We're emotional beings. And so presenting life insurance as a family legacy building tool, I think is very, very important. Francois, my investment colleagues may not like if I say this, but I'll give you a very personal example. I'm coming at a point now, my oldest daughter is finishing school. She's going to go off to university one day, or next year. She's going to get a job one day, and she's going to start saving for her own retirement one day. Now, I'm not advocating that she mustn't save for her own retirement. Absolutely, she must start saving, use the vehicles out there like RAs, etc. Take advantage of saving for retirement. But there also gets a point where I don't need the life cover anymore. She does. And so think about if she took over my premium and paid it, because she's the beneficiary and my other daughter is the beneficiary of it one day, and they use it as a mechanism to save for retirement. I can guarantee you the premiums that they're paying into my life cover, there's no ways they'll save that lump sum in an RA. It's impossible. Now, yes, there's risk if someone stops paying, etc., or the policy lapses. But if you're diligent and you use the tools wisely, man, insurance can be extremely, extremely powerful in building generational wealth and leaving a legacy for your families.
Yeah. One other thing that we may have some quick time to talk about is obviously, this is probably one of the most personal, long-term relationship-based businesses that anybody can build and be a part of, right? So if I think about client relationships specifically, if you want to keep those relationships, you want to build that loyalty, etc. How does life cover then, or life insurance rather? And I do want to clarify, when we talk about life insurance, we're not talking about death benefits. Remember this now, because I see some of the comments here. So we're talking about the all-encompassing risk benefits that's available, right? So depending on where the person is in their life, they may only need one of the type of benefits. So when we say life insurance, we're not talking about death benefits, right? So think about the entire spectrum of things. But how does life insurance encourage long-term client relationships? And also thinking about, like, like I was at an event recently where we're now not talking about reviews anymore. We're talking about annual planning events, right? So you've got, I don't have annual review because that's what the law says we must do. We do annual planning reviews, annual planning events. So that I really like. I do subscribe to that. I love it. But then how can we incorporate this into this process as well?
You know, Francois, we know life changes. Life has its challenges. It's continuously adapting. Things we thought we were going to do, we don't necessarily do. Things we thought we weren't going to do, we do end up doing. So life is continuously changing. And this is where life insurance can naturally foster that long-term relationship. As clients rely on regular policy reviews to adjust their cover based on those changes in life. You know, advisors who offer ongoing support to help clients adapt their policies to meet their needs. Remember, you want to adapt your policy. You don't want to pay too much. You don't want to pay too little, like we said, that sort of Goldilocks area. So whether it's due to life events or financial growth, this continuous engagement, I believe, builds trust, it builds loyalty, and it actually reinforces your role as an advisor, as a lifelong planner in the financial planning sphere. You know, these regular reviews, they do provide us with opportunities to discuss and deepen family relationships. They do provide us with opportunities to better tailor and support surviving members in families. And so this starts to extend client loyalty across generations. So I know one of the things we're always worried about as advisors is what happens when my client is no longer here? Am I going to have a relationship with their children? You know, if you start speaking to families and not to individuals, and you can use insurance to make these adjustments as these life changes come through. You start to create these opportunities for yourself to deepen your relationships with not only the client, but their entire family. I think that's very, very important.
And I mean, on that note, like something that maybe talks to that as well is around, because one of the things is probably that's become harder and harder, thanks to social media probably, is to differentiate yourself. And what makes you different and what helps you stand out, you know, and what makes client pick you over other financial planners or advisors. Not that I see us as competition, which is not the conundrum, but the paradox here for me is like, you know, we competition, but we're not competition because we're all working towards the same vision. We're all on the same path. We all want the same things for our clients. So in that way, I see us more as collaborators than we are competition. But you do want to stand out for the right reason for the right client. Any ideas how life insurance, you know, by incorporating that in the whole thing as well, could help you achieve that?
Look, absolutely. Planners or advisors who include life insurance in their financial planning, I believe, set themselves apart by demonstrating this commitment to both growth and protection of a client's holistic portfolio. You know, if you think about it, this approach is going to address clients' broader financial health rather than just focusing, say, on wealth building. Clients value advisors who understand their needs and who safeguard what they've built. And this deepens trust and it increases loyalty. And this game is about trust and loyalty. We're dealing with people's money. It's a very, very personal thing. So I believe by offering a holistic financial plan that includes both risk cover and the wealth side of things, advisors can attract clients seeking stability and long-term security. You know, this is going to lead to more referrals. I promise you it's going to lead to more referrals, and it's going to lead to a stronger reputation for you as an individual and as a planner or an advisor in the market. This is very, very important.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. So I have linked Mickey's LinkedIn below. So if you want to go follow Mickey or maybe have a chat with Mickey, you are more than welcome to do that. Mickey, any wise words in ending our conversation today that you want to leave people with?
Yeah, man, look, life insurance or Kobus, as you say, simple way to put it, risk protection, man, it's not just about mitigating risk. It's about opportunity. Remember, using the power of the pool here. This is both for advisors and for clients. It really is a tool for securing long-term financial health and for creating a legacy. And this is what we want to do. We want to help people have financial health. We want to help them create sustainable legacies. Financial advisors or planners mustn't underestimate, I believe, the power of risk or life cover. It offers protection, it offers wealth creation, and it can really, really be a strong differentiator to increasingly more competitive market. So, I mean, for many years, I overlooked it. I never thought I'd be talking about the power of risk and the power of wealth protection, but here I am. And man, I'm telling you, I'm sold. I'm a buyer, I'm a believer. And so go out there and go see what this tool can really offer to you, to your clients, and to your holistic financial planning. It is a very powerful tool.
Fantastic, Mickey. Big thank you for your time. Thank you for all the insights. I really enjoyed the conversation. I do want you to stick around, though, and see who wins our books and stuff. And then I'll say thanks to you again at the end. But thank you so much, and hope to see you again soon. We did chat about some other ideas, so we'll probably have you back sometime soon.
Absolutely. Lekker, Francois.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. That's it. Another show, another day. Thank you very much. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. I'll be talking about an interesting topic next week. And after that, I've got some Guy Holwell is going to be a guest. Edel Meyer is going to be a guest, and some other people. So really looking forward to that. So incredible end to the year. On that note, have a fantastic weekend. Stay safe, be blessed and prosper, and continue to raise the bar. I love you lots. Bye-bye. All right, folks, that's a wrap for this episode of Propulsion. I hope you got as much out of this as I did. Remember to tune in every Friday at 8 a.m. South African time for our live show called Propulsion Live. You can find it at www.propulsion.co.za/live. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, hit that subscribe button or the follow button and share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone else who you think would get something out of it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.